Welcome to Journaling with Nature, the podcast for those who want to turn curiosity into wonder, a pencil sketch into a rabbit hole of discovery, a moment of stillness into a life full of joy. I'm your host, Bethan Burton. Let's open the pages of our nature journals and explore this world together. Hello, this is episode 127. We did it! We celebrated International Nature Journaling Week for another year. Every time this annual celebration comes around, I feel very deeply connected with this beautiful community and full of gratitude for these global connections that we're making together. We had people join us from 6 continents and more than 100 countries, and the flood of journal pages being shared was just such a heartwarming thing to see. I love how each person interpreted the prompts in their own way and how we can take ideas from others for our own journaling practice. I think focusing on our senses is such a great thing to do, and sometimes we neglect some of the senses in preference to others, especially the sense of sight, if that's something that's available to you. We seem to be dominated by what we see, but there's such richness in paying close attention to the other senses that we have available and working on ways to capture that experience in our journals. One thing that stood out to me during the week was this realization that our vocabulary for describing the senses is actually quite limited. On the first day, we talked about our language for naming colors. We can say green, for example, but how many hundreds of types of green are there around us? One way to get around this is that we sometimes make combinations of words to get more specific, like saying dark green or lime green or forest green. But there's still so many different undescribed colors, and it can be a really meaningful practice to create our own names for them. Verena Hildgardner and I did a workshop on color for that first day, and we were talking about this topic, and we did a short exercise for naming colors, and Verena named her color Rusty Bike. And I thought this was just so incredibly delightful and evocative, and when she said it, not only did I know what color she was describing, but it also brought up a whole belly full of memories from childhood with groups of kids riding around in the neighborhood. My bike when I was a kid was red, and yes, it had rust on it, and the color Rusty Bike reminded me of this old bike being left on its side by the house when I ran in to get a drink after a big ride with neighborhood friends. This idea that naming color can bring up memories is something delightful that I think we can explore. There were other things that I found I had limited vocabulary for too, like describing the sensations of aroma and taste. These two very connected senses are so hard to describe. We have some words we can draw on to describe taste, like salty, sour, sweet, bitter, umami. And beyond that, it's good to start to use similes for comparison to describe flavor by saying one thing tastes like another thing. But again, practicing these senses and building not only our vocabulary, but also our ability to stretch beyond the normal words we reach for is a really fun challenge. This whole thing for me really highlighted how important words are in our journals. Describing something that we experience with our sense of sight is easy with pictures. We can just depict that using art. But when it comes to these other senses, layering on the words to help us is absolutely essential. So if you explored the program page on the International Nature Journaling Week website, you'll have noticed a page that's called Next Steps. This page is designed to share ways that we can keep up the momentum that we created during the week and bring it into our daily practice. Because International Nature Journaling Week is just 1 week of a year, but nature journaling is something that can support and nourish and bring us joy every day of the year. So if you visit that page, and I'll put a link in the show notes for this episode, you'll see information about finding a nature journal club near you or starting one for yourself, as well as finding or becoming a mentor to support others in their nature journaling practice. And all this information is from John Muir Laws and the Wild Wonder Foundation, which is a wonderful organization with a mission to spread nature journaling and make it accessible to more people through the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference, as well as workshops and grants and other initiatives. And importantly, with a focus on getting the skills into the hands of teachers and educators. They recently had an online workshop focused just on this, which was called the Nature Journal Educators Workshop. And if you're interested in starting to share nature journaling with others in your community, or if you're an educator in a school or a homeschool setting, then you can still be a part of this workshop because they have a video pass available which you can access to watch the workshop recordings. In the workshop, you'll learn about all aspects of teaching nature journaling in person or online, and how you can feel empowered to go forward as a nature journal educator if this is something you want to start doing or something you want to develop if you've already started. Check the show notes for links to the Wild Wonder Foundation and to the Educators Workshop. Wild Wonder have also recently launched this adorable printable zine, which is called the Quick Start Guide to Nature Journaling. And it's a file which you can download and print on your home printer and take with you in your nature journaling kit or share with other people. It's an A4 sheet which folds up into a little booklet, and it has information and prompts and is totally adorable. So be sure to download your copy and fold it up and take it with you wherever you go. On the Next Steps page of the International Nature Journaling Week website, there's also a lot of places that you can keep learning about nature journaling and get inspired. There's a list of educators that have online workshops you can take, and a list of folks that have nature journaling videos on YouTube. Having made all those videos for each day of International Nature Journaling Week, I'm actually really excited and motivated to start being more active on YouTube and creating videos that address different aspects of nature journaling. If you'd like to follow along, I'd love to have you. You can go to the show notes of this podcast and click through to YouTube to watch those videos as they come out. If you missed any of the live workshops during International Nature Journaling Week, that's no problem at all. You can go back and watch them. They'll be up on the website for always, and you can always access them on the Journaling with Nature YouTube channel also. One really rich and rewarding part of International Nature Journaling Week, I think, is the sense of community that develops each year. People communicating and sharing and inspiring ideas in each other and sending kind words to each other. Being part of this community can give us a sense of being part of something bigger, something more than just ourselves and a journal in the backyard, although that is enough reason in itself to keep going. And I especially love that technology gives us the chance to experience the incredible nature of other places, other countries, all the wonderful things around the world. And sharing our pages with others helps remind us that our nearby nature is amazing and beautiful, and we can start to see that through the eyes of other people. I have a friend called Ayoka, and she lives in Germany. And Ayoka has this wonderful thing that she does, which is that if she appreciates something that someone has created and she's encountered online, she will write to that person and tell them. It sounds simple, but how many times do we see something or connect with something online and smile to ourselves and then move on? Taking this little step to send someone a message to say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that what you wrote really moved me, or that what you painted touched me because it reminded me of something meaningful that happened in my life. So I invite you to build connections with others in the community by reaching out to people and letting them know that you love what they created. Sometimes simple things are the most powerful, and letting someone know that they had an impact on your day can really give them a lift. And also you might find yourself making a new online nature journal friend in the process. Let's continue to grow this community of journalers, because in community we find support, inspiration, encouragement, and connection. So there is a lot happening and so many ways to keep motivated and keep inspired and keep up the momentum that we gathered during the week. I have more interviews coming up soon, which I'm excited to share with you. There are some very innovative ways to connect with nature through creativity, including through freehand machine embroidery, which I'll be talking about with Australian artist Meredith Woolnough in next week's episode, And this makes me so happy, through marine-inspired stand-up comedy. I'm going to be chatting again with Elizabeth from Marine Mumbles in a few weeks, so listen out for those interviews coming soon. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.